We are going to add 4 shapes to the map: a circle, a polygon, a polyline, and a ground overlay, which is an image. Let's open up the Java file. I have added some objects and variables over here. Let's explain them first. When we add a shape, let's say for example we add a circle, we can define a stroke for it, and we can define a pattern for our stroke. We can use a dash object, which I am going to give it the amount of 100 pixel as our dash length and 200 pixel as our gap length. And here we are defining our pattern for our stroke. For the first one, I have defined a dot gap pattern, which means after our circle has been drawn, it will have a dot gap pattern. The stroke will be dot gap, dot gap, dot gap until the shape is completely drawn. The next one is a dash pattern, which is going to use dash gap until our shape is completely drawn. And the last one is a mixed dash dot and gap pattern, which I am going to use dot gap dot dash dot gap, and this pattern repeats until the shape is completely drawn. So I have also added the buttons over here and called set and click listener for them. And over here I have added 4 empty methods that we are going to type down our code for adding a circle shape, adding a polygon, adding a polyline, and a ground overlay. So let's get started and add a circle. For circle, we need circle options. We can define various properties for our circle option, such as defining the center, defining the radius, stroke width, stroke color, fill color, stroke pattern. Let's do that and see what happens. I'm going to give the amount of 100,000 for the radius, and I also going to change the amount of stroke color to red, and changing the amount of stroke width to 10. Also changing the stroke pattern to mixed pattern mix that we define at the top of this activity. And let's enable clickable for our circle. We can also change the fill color I'm going to set that to green. And that's it. Let's add the circle to the map. Google Map.add circle, circle options, and move the camera to the center of circle. I'm going to copy this code over here and calling Google Map.move camera, camera update factory, new latlan, and the new latlan is going to be the center of our circle. Let's get to the next one, adding a polygon. Basically, adding a polygon, polyline, and ground overlays is going to be the same as our circle, but with a different properties. For this one, I am going to use polygon options. Okay, we can make the polygon by adding multiple latlan objects together. All we need to do is calling polygon option dot add, and I'm going to give it our latlan for the first line, and we can have as many lines as we can. Let's add some of them, and I am going to change this to -30, -3, and 2.5, changing this to 0 and 5, and let's change this to 3, and the last one I am going to have 0, 0. So I have added 6 locations over here and pointed them to each other. And as you can see, the first and the last one has the same location, which means we are starting from 0, 0, and at the end we are going back to 0, 0 again. For this one, I am going to set clickable to true, and let's change the fill color. Let's call Google Map.add polygon, our polygon options over here, and let's move the camera to camera update factory new latlan, and our location is 0, 0. I'm going to move the camera to the first location in our polygon options. Let's go and see how to add a polyline. This time I am using Polyline options, and this is the same as Polygon. We need to add multiple latlan objects. I have already done that, so I'm going to copy paste the code for our Polyline options. And we are going to set the clickable to true, and changing the color to something else. Let's add the polyline to the map. And move the camera to the first location that we have added to our polylines. And at the end, let's add a ground overlay. I'm going to use ground overlay options. I am going to give it an image using we need to use a bitmap for our image. So I am going to call bitmap descriptor factory from resource, and I'm going to anchor this image to, let's press Ctrl Q over here, Anchor says specifying the anchor aligns with the ground overlay's location. The anchor point is in 2D, where 0, 0 is top left, 1, 0 is top right, and 0, 1 is bottom left, and 1, 1 is bottom right. I am going to give it 0, 1, which is bottom left. So I am anchoring to bottom left of ground overlays. Also, we are going to change, we are going to give it a position. I am going to give it the amount of 40 and minus 74. As you can see, it needs more values. So let's check out this position over here. So we basically give it the location, which we did, and we need a width and height for our image. I am going to give it the amount of 860 and 650. Also, we can change the amount of bearing. I am going to give it 0, and let's add clickable to our ground overlay too. That's it. We made our ground overlays, and I am going to add it to the map and move the camera to our position. If we click on add polyline button, a polyline will be added, and if we click it again, another polyline will be added. So I don't want to add too many shapes on the map, and I am going to call a method called googlemap.clear to clear all previous shapes and only add the shape that I want to see currently. So I am going to call googlemap.clear before our codes. Okay, so before I add the polygon or polyline, I am going to clear all the shapes and then draw my polygon or polyline. Let's run the application. Let's add a circle. Here is our circle. Let's zoom in, and here you are. As you can see, we used, let's actually scroll up, we used the mix pattern, which is dot gap dot dash gap. So it is dot gap dash gap. And the same pattern repeats until it reaches the end again. Let's add a polygon. This is a polygon. Let's zoom out to see it. This is our polygon. We use the blue color, filling color blue. And let's add a polyline. This is our polyline over here in San Francisco. Okay, here it is. Its color is cyan, and let's add a ground overlay. Here is our ground overlay, which I used the city drawable. Let's zoom in, and here is our ground overlays. If you are new to our channel, please subscribe, and if you like our videos, please like them or add a comment or share it with your friends.